Good morning, Keller Williams. It is time for another episode of
MCTTs Unleashed.
It gets crazier every time we do this. I think we'll have fireworks and stuff now.
We're having fun this morning, though. So we're doing something a little bit different today, and that is that we are here to answer any of your questions. So this is Ask Us Anything.
The AMA.
I
think so. That's what they call it.
Yeah.
Ask me anything.
Oh, ask me. Yeah, I'm like, wait a minute. I know our English is slightly different because you're from the actual country, but it's too funny. So let's jump into our cultural moment. And we are back full circle for our mission. And our mission is to build careers worth having, businesses worth owning, lives worth living, experiences worth giving, and legacies worth leaving. What do you think about that, Peter?
Well, being an old fart, as the Americans would say, I think the legacy is worth leaving is the bit we don't focus on.
Yeah.
We're all great at building a sphere and, getting business, hunting for now, trying to get opportunities to earn money today because we need it right now.
Right.
But there's a long game in it,
which
people just don't focus on as much as they might. And that is that there is a value to your database 10 years, 15 years, 20 years down the line.
Mm-hmm.
And that value could be really significant. And I think because we're just getting into the idea of building a database, we don't really talk about what it's worth.
Right.
Which could be huge.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing that's unique to Keller Williams is the fact that we have our profit sharing program too, which if you're building your profit share tree, that's a nice legacy to leave as well.
It is. But it's got to be pretty big to be substantial enough to actually live on.
Yeah.
So it's there. It's got a purpose, and there's a clear benefit to it. But I think legacies worth leaving means more about what's your business going to be worth when you retire out.
And I would agree with that because I don't think enough of us agents, leadership, tech people, whatever. I mean, most of us in this system have been or will be an agent at some point. And I don't think that we really, and we've talked about this on previous episodes, that it really is a business that you can sell It's a book of business like an insurance agent, anything like that.
Well, you can build a team around it, right?
Yeah.
So as you retire out, you can replace yourself with a team leader of your team, still have a hand, in how that team operates.
It's the whole point of the MREA with a 7th level team.
Yeah.
Right.
Continue to pay you.
Yeah.
And that's the key point because, I'm not joking. The 20, 30 years that you work goes fast.
It does.
So fast. And you think to yourself, you spent all your time hunting instead of gathering. And at the end of it, you've got to keep going. That's why you see these agents who are 80 years old because they can't stop working because they need the income. So planning for that event is something I think should be a much bigger topic rather than the let's get wealthy now, right? With income is what can you do investing in properties, creating rental income, and all that.
Yeah.
Wealth building is really what that's about. So, I mean, it's not that we don't focus on it. There's a huge focus on it, but I think we probably don't pay as much attention to what's being given to us.
Yeah. I would agree with that. I didn't mean to allude to the fact that agents don't think about their retirement, but I think that the piece of the business being something that has a sale value to it is what often gets overlooked because most agents are thinking about that, but I think they also think, well, I need to make this much money until so that I can retire comfortably. So I'm going to make this much money in my real estate business so that I can retire comfortably, not really fully grasping the 7th level team. And it doesn't have to be 7th level necessarily, but you can grow a team to a point where somebody steps in and manages that for you so that you can retire and still live off of that. Or
there's two choices. You can sell your book of business. In other words, the relationships that you built up, sell it for a lump sum that's financed, say, owner financed by the agent retiring out.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a hot topic, but there's a multiple of ways to create revenue post work, right? And the main one is to invest in rental property because his yield is so good. So that's when you hear about, you know, Jason Abrams and Mark King talking about legacies worth leaving, they dive into wealth building.
Yeah.
But they rarely talk about the value of the database. And that's my point. My point is, if you've got 2,000 people in a database that have been transacting over the last 10 years, are likely to move again, it's worth as much as you've made in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah.
So I just think, anyway, you got me going.
No, I love it.
It's just we're being old and
we're a lot closer to retirement and thinking about that.
well,
You and I have had those conversations
than starting working.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Right? Yep.
So
I don't even want to think about that again. Some of the jobs I had in the past.
Oh yeah, me too.
All right. Well, we are doing something fun on this particular episode. This is something we're going to try to make more consistent with every episode, and that is that you can actually call in and speak to us. And the number is on the screen, 941-281-5004, or you can leave your comments on either YouTube or Facebook. If you are leaving a comment on Facebook, please go to StreamYard.com/Facebook so that you can give StreamYard the Facebook permissions. All it's doing is just allowing StreamYard to use your profile photo and your name so that we know who it is that's leaving the comment. Otherwise, we get Facebook user. And
it's a bit...
we'd love to identify you so that we can follow up with you after if we need to or anything like that. All right. So that's it for our slides because, well, I don't know. I guess we're just going to sit here and talk, right?
Well, what I wanted to talk about was well, let's put it this way. There's a whole industry out there of gurus trying to take money from agents who are both experienced and inexperienced. A lot of them call themselves coaches. I'm not saying
just real quick disclaimer. Yeah. When he says guru, he's not talking about Realty Tech Guru.
No. But a lot of them out there are selling a system, right? How to get into real estate, how to build your business.
Right.
And there's only really one way of doing it. When I've looked at this now I got first licensed in 1994, right? So it's a long time ago, right?
I was 2 years out of high school.
You were 2 years old, right? So I've seen the industry, I've seen it develop, and I've seen what success is by working with thousands of agents. And I mean, literally thousands. And there's only one way to do it. And that is to build a database with what people call Sphere, which is
right.
And then to scale that and then to get referral business from that Sphere. So everything you hear online, YouTube videos, coaches, all these tech people, unless they're talking about building your business from the core of who do you know who is likely to recommend you to somebody who's going to buy or sell, then it's fake. It's as fake can be. You can't build a business by just doing Facebook leads. You can't do it by even Google, right?
Right.
They're all add-ons when you've maxed out your core business, your Sphere. And there's a sign up in this office here in where are we, Port Charlotte, and it says on the wall, there's basically no excuse for hard work. There's no other way to it than there's no one going to do it for you.
Yeah.
So it's basically sugar pills all over the place that are being sold by these massive Facebook groups of agents, and that are then run by this core group of people who are trying to persuade you to part with your money. And they call it either coaching or consulting or whatever it may be, but it's expensive. It can be thousands a month.
Right.
For them to tell you something that's completely free and known already in the MREA book.
Right. Yeah, that's a great point.
So why do it? Why go down all these rabbit holes, shiny objects, all these new ways of trying to do something when the reality is, unless you have a group of people who are supporting your business and they're fans and they're recommending you and bringing you people, then no business really works without that. So it's back to basics time. And I think in a market like we're in right now, it's essential that we focus on having the 201 plus in place, because it's a I forget what the term is, but it's a major marker in someone's career when they get to a size of database. And it doesn't have to be a CRM. It could be a shoebox with cards in it. It could just be a phone.
That's how Gary started.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's having those advocate clients who advocate for your business and either transact with you directly because they want to use you as an agent, or they connect you with somebody that is thinking of buying and selling, and you're the recommended agent.
Right.
It's a word of mouth business.
Yeah.
And you're creating that word of mouth by having the 201. So I think we've got to throw to one side all of the BS that's out there and all of the shiny
objects,
that's constantly being fed into agents' minds, and focus on the reality, which is you have to pick the phone up. You have to build real, in-person, voice-to-voice, and preferably face-to-face relationships with other people, so that they know that you are an agent, you're good at what you do, and that you're looking for recommendations. Referrals. So I think, I just look at so many people struggling for 1-2 years. They spend all of the savings, they get a couple of deals, and they can't continue. Right. I mean, what's the stats? 5 years, 80% of agents are no longer agents. 80%. And that's because they don't get the basics right at the beginning. And
that's true.
And Keller Williams has a totally different way of doing this. Which
Absolutely. Works. I would say one of my biggest issues is with the pre-licensing in the state of Florida.
Oh, yeah.
Personally. All you're doing is learning how to pass a test. They don't really tell you anything about real estate. I think one of the fundamental missteps is they don't tell you and inform you. And of course, they're not going to, because they want to take your money to take their course to pass the test.
Yep.
But they don't inform you as the soon-to-be real estate agent that you need to have 6 months of cash reserves to pay all your bills, because you may not make a dime for 3 to 6 months.
Yeah,
and nobody informs you of that.
Because we sell the product with the longest consideration period that there is. People get surgery quicker and choose a doctor than buying a house. Everything that's connected to buying a property takes time.
Yep.
So like you say, you may be really lucky. You may have 3 or 4 people, they're all thinking of moving, but you know what? Could be 18 months before they pull the trigger.
Yeah.
And that's 18 months before you get paid. So having some money set, I'm not recommending people get into debt for it, but having access to cash flow in that first 6 months is critical. It's so important.
Well, I totally agree. Like, so we're not advocating for you to go out and get a credit card to spend all your real estate expenses on. I think what we would more likely recommend is that you don't even go get your license until you've saved and had these in savings, or at least activate it, right? Go get your license, leave it in an active status if that's what you want to do. But because even in our system, and we have the best training out there, but even in our system, and I'm being bold, and we don't use the word but, I'm sitting on that. In our system, you're still going to go through a 30, 60, 90 with your coaching program. Hopefully you have a productivity coaching program in your market center. You're still going to go through a 30, 60, 90, and you will get into business much sooner that way.
You will.
But if you're not, and if you're not engaging, that's really hard to stop doing. And if you're not engaging, you can count on not having a deal for 6 months to a year.
Yeah, you can't see it.
So you have to engage with the coaching and training that's going on in your market center. You have amazing MCTTs in your market center. You have amazing team leaders. There's a lot of OPs that train. You have, and then of course your productivity coaches. There's excellent training within your market center, within your region, internationally. There's all kinds of training to take advantage of.
So the problem that I see, and this isn't just with Keller Williams, but Keller Williams has a system and a model to get you started in real estate and get your first transaction early by following the systems and models in the early months. But what happens is the agent gets bombarded by the local realtor board, by the other agents in the office, by gurus and other, shiny object salesmen who just want to take money from you.
Yeah.
They'll say, you need coaching. You actually don't need coaching in your first 90 days. You need to get into a productivity coach
Right.
in the office.
Right.
You don't need to go buy it from a third party
Exactly.
company somewhere else.
Nope, because it's offered for. So I'll put this caveat in there. It's offered for free. Most coaching programs take a percentage of the commission.
Yeah, but it's small.
But that's
It's
yeah,
small.
it is small in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
I know because I was married. Well, I am married,
I'm married
still
still,
to a former productivity coach, and the amount of time that she put in for the little bit of compensation that comes from that agent directly, it doesn't even compare. So, I mean, let's just talk about it. $8,000 commission, right? If an agent got an $8,000 commission, she's taking 5% of that. So what is that? About $400, right? And with the time that she was putting into that, that is minuscule compensation for the time that she was trying to help that agent get into production. So it is very small what you're going to pay for high level coaching and have somebody as your advocate to get you into productivity. The issue is, as the new agent, you need to have the mindset and the work ethic to be involved in every aspect of that coaching.
You do, and it's a grind. It's no one is saying this is easy.
No,
it's not easy, and you've got to be making 100 dials to get 10 people to talk to, and of those 10, you might get 2 to 3 of those who actually want to meet in person.
Yeah,
and of those, 1 may come to some form of transaction over time. So, we're talking. There's nothing to be fearful of it. It is hard work. It's a grind, but the rewards are there.
Yeah,
I've seen it over and over and over and over again. And the top agents that we have just continue doing the same thing.
Yeah,
they just keep doing it. They don't go, oh, I've got my first couple of transactions under my belt, now I'm going to go buy Facebook leads. They don't do that.
Nope, they don't. They have a system. Well, because they followed the systems before they start getting creative, which is what the MREA teaches too.
You got to earn that right.
You have to earn the right to be creative. It's funny because you said almost word for word what I've heard Gary say on stage, and that is success is simple but not easy.
Yep.
Because it takes hard work. It really does.
So we've got a couple of people watching on probably Facebook or YouTube. Feel free to post in the comments or to call us on 941-281-5004. We are looking for an Ask Us Anything or an Ask Me Anything session, because there's so many questions around Command at the moment. There's new features in Command. There's the 201 Plus Club. What do you need to do to have a great contact? How do you make that set up in your Command so that you're contacting people at the right time and the right cadence? So we're here to answer any questions about anything to do with real estate tech and Command in particular.
Yeah, DocuSign, if we can help with that. I may have opened a can of worms with that one. I know there's been a lot of frustration around that recently. Seems like there's all kinds of things going haywire. I typically when that happens, it's because there's something really good coming on the other end with a new feature or cleaning up something. And I'm telling you, that's almost impossible to stop doing. And
what are you saying?
It's still frustrating. Yeah, I'm saying and we're not allowed to say that in bold.
That's okay. and so there should be an acronym for DocuSign stress disorder. PTS. DocuSign.
Yeah, that's funny. I think what I'm gonna do, Peter, is I'm actually going to invite some of the other MCTTs from our
South Flexus
region, right? Our South Flexus friends. And just see if they want to jump in, and because I actually have some questions in the fact that I would love to poll some of our MCTTs or labs advisors, because some of them are labs advisors as well, and just ask them if there's one piece of command that you would recommend somebody really focus on right now for business building. What would it be? So I'll let you talk some more about what you've been talking about. I love seeing the passion in this guy when he's talking about, and this is we had a whole episode on MCTT tech person versus business coach, and this is the business coach side of us coming out.
I'm just honestly tired of seeing agents have money taken from them
Yep.
when they've no reason whatsoever to spend that money. There is a system and a model for everything that you need to do in your first 90 days at Keller Williams. And even if you're restarting your career, right, you might have been with Keller Williams for a year and things have kind of like changed, the market changing, and you might need to be shifting more towards attracting listings rather than working exclusively with buyers. You may have left the team. Something might have changed and you've got to do a restart. You've got to do another 90-day restart. So what I'm seeing is there's a lot of Facebook groups out there where agents are saying, oh, well, this works, this. And what it all boils down to is really is a shiny object, which is where a coach has decided he needs to make $5,000 per agent that he interacts with. How's he going to do it? Is it going to be a monthly fee? Is it going to be quarterly fees? Is it going to be some kind of cost? And because if you're prepared right moving into real estate, you may have some cash. You feel that it's worth investing in that, when in fact it's not, because it's available for free or close to free.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my point, is that I just get very anxious when I see agents hit with all these different options and choices from all these different, and we're not talking a few. There are literally thousands of people out there from across the world targeting American real estate agents with their latest gimmick.
Well, and we haven't even begin to discuss how our phone starts blowing up the minute we get licensed, with everybody trying to sell us leads, or, hey, I'm looking for a referral agent in your area. Would you pay 25% if we sent you quality seller leads?
We work with this, we work with that. And you know what? It's just some guy literally in a bedroom who's got a calling person from wherever, somewhere else in the world, and is spending a few marketing dollars to build the perception that they're already successful. When the reality is, I've seen them. You go look at the reviews that they post, and it's all crazy name, Canada.
Yeah.
Right. Never even done a transaction in the United States. Totally different market.
Right.
And they just BS the way into your mind that they're going to, and they're talking $500, $1,000, $3,000, $6,000. And I just look at agents getting robbed.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it is.
Yeah.
Because don't get me wrong. If this worked, we'd all be doing it.
Yep.
Right? We'd all be on it. Look, we have Chris Orsini.
Hey. Yeah. And, it's not that hard to generate those leads, right? Like they're just, they've created an ad and they're just copy and pasting it.
$2 leads.
Yeah.
So I love what Chris just said there. So don't buy into what they're selling you, but learn from what they're doing for the Facebook ads that they're creating, because you as the agent can do it to go find your own customers.
Well, you can actually, the one thing I love about Facebook is if a guru, right, who's fake from somewhere else, like England, for instance, where a lot of them are from, right, who are not even licensed to collect commission, and then start saying, oh, we can pay as a 35% referral fee. Yeah, but to what entity? And what are you licensed? Why are you transacting in our country? Right? Do you even have work authority? So there's a whole layer of complexity behind it. But if they genuinely have ads that are converting and getting good quality leads, all you have to do is go to their Facebook page and look at page insights, and you can actually see their ad copy. You can look at all of their ads and say, right, this is the one that's clearly getting the traction. I'm going to replicate it in Command.
Yeah.
And go do the same thing for $1 a lead.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Right. So why pay $6,000 a month?
Yeah. And you're going to get better results running it through Command than Homeboy's going to get doing it through Facebook.
Yeah.
Because we get better traction through Command. So
exactly. And there's targeting options that are available that are not available directly in ad campaigns. I found a few the other day. So the kind of topic that we're going with is agents falling into the trap of being sold to by the shiny object companies. And it's not that there's one or two of them. There's thousands of them, and they're popping up every day. I mean, they're in my feed. I see them. They're calling me. They're sending me messages. I'm getting, like you say, are you accepting referrals?
Yeah.
What?
Well,
what?
And the frustrating part for us as tech trainers, and I know we can all relate to this, is our company is known as the best training company out there. Not just best real estate training company, the best training company across all companies, all different types of professions, right?
Yep.
And what the part that is hard for us to really kind of process is an agent going out and spending money on things and they're not showing up to the classes that we offer in the market center.
Mm-hmm.
And one that is particularly coming to mind is when there's an agent sitting in front of me that very rarely comes to training. I'm happy to have them in front of me, but then they'll ask me, "Hey, Brett, should I spend money on this?" No, you should come to more classes like you're doing right now.
Yeah.
Utilize what you're already paying for.
Yeah. Ignite 2 and Bold. I mean, they're both brilliant at getting you into production.
Oh yeah.
Both of them.
Yeah.
And you know, the amount of business that's written by the whole group that goes through these classes is unreal.
Yeah.
So it's just the focus. It's that intentionality and focusing on what you should be doing that day.
So let's talk about that, because part of this, one of the whole reasons for this episode or this podcast is to bring awareness to agents about their MCTTs or about things that they may not currently be aware of. So Bold is a $799 investment in yourself and your business. It is worth every single penny and then some.
Yep.
Okay. Most market centers, like our market center, we have never had Bold that we haven't had a reimbursement program of some type that will pay you back every penny, depending on how many transactions you do, whether it's all in one lump sum or over 2 or 4 transactions, whatever it is. There's scholarships that can be had on your commission request in command. There's agents that provide money towards Bold scholarships. However, if you don't have that money to invest and you can't take advantage of a scholarship, I mean, I'll just be honest, like, I don't always go to Bold, but if I don't go to Bold, I typically will sponsor somebody in my office that I've recognized as a go-getter that could really benefit from it. They're engaged, and I will typically sponsor a scholarship for them. However, if you can't afford that investment, and that's completely understandable, Ignite is like mini Bold. It's a fantastic program that typically takes place in your market center or here in the South Florida region. We have a virtual Ignite program, which has still done wonders for people. And one of the greatest things about the program that we have here is that you can actually get your post 45 licensing by taking Ignite.
Yep.
And it is a fraction of the cost compared to doing it with a real estate school.
Yep.
And you're getting more on the job training, realistic real estate material than if you were just doing yet another state book type of program.
Oh, absolutely.
So Chris, what do you get? Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. So something like along these lines of what Peter's saying, and, I totally agree. The one thing I love about KW is that most of these things that people hit you up about, we already offer within KW. We have MAPS coaching. We have team rich programs. We have all these communities. We have MCTTs, right? And what I would suggest, if anyone is hitting you up about something, go to your market center, go to your MCTT and say, hey, I'm being offered this. Where can I find this within Keller Williams? Because it's coming from a trusted and reliable source, right? All those who are not trustworthy and reliable have already gone to EXP or somewhere else, right? And so we know, like, hey, if this is like MAPS coaching, like I don't question a MAPS coach, right? Like I know they go through a 3-month redshirt program that they're paying for in order to become a MAPS coach, right? Like they're not doing it. I mean, of course they're doing it for the money, but they're not doing it to sucker you out of money. They're doing it because they genuinely have a passion for it. And there's a lot of people who self-discover through that program that, hey, coaching isn't for me, or MAPS discovers is that, hey, coaching isn't for you, right? Like,
well,
not everyone who
it's similar to the career visioning process, which for agents that are listening, your leadership certainly knows what this is, but if you don't, there's actually a program called Career Visioning. It used to be Recruit, Select, Train, Lead, Motivate, RSTLM. That was the former name for it. Wow. But now it's called Career Visioning. And that is how our market centers hire their staff. It's how team lead, like rainmakers of teams, they typically will use it as well to hire key positions on their team, even buyers agents and listing specialists. These are all very long processes, and they're meant to be long and detailed because it is more expensive to hire somebody and have to keep turning over that possession because you spend all that money on training and then you find out it's not the right person. So Keller Williams tends to front load that before they're even hired. You're figuring out a lot of that stuff. And MAPS coaching is like, as we try to grow as leaders in this company, even train the presenter and then train the trainer advanced workshop. Those are processes that we have to go through. So your leadership, your trainers, your coaches, we're typically vetted through a process.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure my CV process took about 9 hours total. And then it took me.
Not everybody excels at everything like you do, Chris.
I just had so much crap to work through. That's all it was. Yeah. And then, I mean, it took me over a year to get KW approved. Like, all these things take processes, and it takes, you have to get, in order to just get approved, KW approved, it's 75 evaluations. It's 3 team leader recommendations,
regional
director, written letter of recommendation, like things like that. It's not just like, oh, hey, you like to teach, here's a piece of paper saying you're good at it. Like, we have genuine approval processes. Now, and you mentioned, Brett, like when agents will come to you and say, hey, should I buy this? I want to call out our MCTTs for a second and say, hey, like, what do you know about all the products that are available?
That's what I love about this guy right here.
Yeah.
He has a wealth of knowledge with a lot of different CRMs.
Yeah. He's my follow-up boss go-to. Like, whenever I have a question about follow-up boss, but not just like, what are the features and benefits of these products? Who owns these products? What other products do they own?
Probably more importantly.
Yeah. What kind of influence do they have in the real estate industry? Right? How protective are they of your agent's data?
So that's an excellent point. Yeah, that's an excellent point. And for those that don't understand the history, Command came to be because Gary was tired of Zillow buying things that had our data.
Yep.
So Market Leader, we partnered with the last go around with our technology for eEdge. That came to be in 2011, I believe, is when we went live. And that eventually got bought by Trulia, and then Zillow bought Trulia. And even though we had agreements in place, no one will ever convince me that Zillow doesn't mine data. They're not going to honor agreements. I don't care what anybody says. I don't believe that.
They just go and change the terms of service like Dotloop did, right?
Yeah.
And Gary said, I love Gary goes, I'll never get Dotlooped again, right?
Yeah.
And
because that was the next phase, right?
That was the next one. Zillow bought Dotloop. And what they did was they changed the terms of service after they bought it, because we had an agreement saying that they couldn't access our data or they couldn't share our data, right? And they changed, once Zillow bought them, they changed the terms of service to retroactively change that. And in order for your data not to be accessed and shared with all of their partners, you had to submit a written opt-out. You had to email them and say you opted,
which
say, don't share my data.
Completely confident they would have honored.
Yeah. And I'm sure everyone does that, right? I do that all the time. I email companies all the time to tell them don't share my data. No, I've never done that, right?
Right.
And so, we can't, sure, like the agreement's in there now, but they can change it. They can amend it, right? And they made it retroactive to like 2017 or something crazy like that, right? So all of a sudden we have this trust in this third-party company that's completely obliterated, right? Overnight. This all happened in a matter of months. So I mean, there's one CRM, and I don't know how open we are with this and what our, what we can say and not say, but I'm not going to say who it is, but there's a CRM that I beef with. It's a fantastic CRM. It's an amazing product. They rip off a lot of Command stuff, but it is an amazing product. And I've spent hours in meetings with this company. And then I was like, hey, let me look into the owner and what other products they're involved in, what they're involved in real estate. The owner is a serial entrepreneur. He's a Chinese venture capitalist who builds businesses and then sells them. And this is his first venture into real estate.
Mm.
What do you think he's going to do once he builds up enough of a clientele?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I
Absolutely.
have
And
no
I'm sure
faith that
Zillow's the
this-
first one in line.
Yeah, I have no faith that Homeboy is not going to go and sell this off to Zillow or one of our competitors and then change the terms of service so that all of our data can be shared with their partners, right? And it's a data game right now. Data is the new oil, right? And everyone's going after data, and we're just a couple acquisitions away from the tides turning in who owns the most data in real estate, right? The majority of companies right now are using KV Core, the big companies, right? KV Core is infiltrating everywhere, right? What happens if Zillow goes and buys KV Core?
Yeah, absolutely. And we have a lot of agents in our company. You know, there's at least one in my market center that I'm aware of, but throughout Keller Williams, I think there's quite a few agents that utilize that product. I would just say to that, have you seen Command lately?
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's what we're up against all the time is that those people that have gone on to other CRMs, I feel like they're still in this negative mindset from a year or 2 years ago where Command didn't do what they needed it to do. And this is something we talk about all the time on this show, is that the leadership at KW Tech right now is absolutely phenomenal. And it is worlds apart from where it used to be. Things are happening. Chris and I are both labs advisors. We get to test this stuff. We get to talk to KW Tech directly. They listen to us. They're implementing it in the software. And it's absolutely phenomenal, the connection that we have and the rate at which it's moving. And here's something that we probably don't talk about enough is the fact that we're no longer are we forcing everybody to say you have to use command and command only and blah, 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 blah. Like there's a big focus now, right, Chris, on API integration so that we can use other things and plug it into command. Command should be your hub because that's where your transactions are and everything.
If your objective is to build a database that one day will have a value that you then want to either do owner financing with and sell to another team, or you may put a team leader in, like you said, 7th level and operate that business long term, or you may just sell it for a sum, right? It's got no value if the data is not confidential.
Absolutely.
So
that's a great point.
If you've used a CRM that's been forms the part of another organization's mine of data, then they can simply take those email addresses, phone numbers and names, target market through any channel, TikTok, Facebook, wherever, upload the audience, generate leads from your data and sell you those leads back as if they're doing you a favor.
Yeah.
They're your own leads.
Well,
so and then where is the value in your database when you say, well, it's actually being attacked and marketed to by everybody and all and sundry. So the protection of the data isn't just some kind of noble principle. It's financially important to protect who your contacts are for your business long term. So using Command guarantees that.
Absolutely.
And that's one major advantage of it. Like you say, we're not in the business of telling people that you must use something. We're in the business of saying this is a very good reason why you should and you should consider it.
Yeah. If you want to know that your data is protected, then you must use this. If you don't care as much because these other things are convenient.
But I don't think that the average person knows how easy it is to take data and remarket to that data and generate business from it without the owner of the data even knowing.
Well, in
it's a couple of clicks.
Yeah.
There's nothing to it.
Like Chris said, data is the new gold. And like you said, I mean, data is the value.
Yeah.
That's all the value. So if I wouldn't spend $1 million to buy a book of business from an insurance agent if all of those same contacts were already with all of my competing insurance agents.
Exactly. Has no value.
No.
So
right. Actually, oil is the new gold and data is the new oil.
Okay.
Bringing you up to the times, dude.
I'd settle for either gold or oil.
Yeah, right.
I don't care.
But so like, and I know we're on one of the MCTT pages, right? And so I do want to like again like encourage MCTTs to be more business minded,
Yes.
right? And start thinking more like a businessman, right? Like we can't move from entrepreneurial to
Business person,
purposeful.
Chris.
Oh, business person. Sorry. All right. Business human. You can't move from entrepreneurial to purposeful if you're not entrepreneurial to begin with, right? And it doesn't mean you have to be an entrepreneur. It just means you have to learn how to think like an entrepreneur, right? And
Yeah.
learn how to navigate things like an entrepreneur and think in bigger pictures. Some I learned when working with Cody that I'll always appreciate is really looking deeper than just the surface levels of features and benefits.
Yeah, you joined us right after Peter and I had mentioned that, but we had a whole episode that was MCTT business coach versus tech person, right? And we
Massive.
really are business coaches, especially if we're an MCTT that is an agent or is licensed or whatever, and we have that experience. We are a business coach as well. And you also said something with the MCTT having an entrepreneurial mindset. Our agents need to realize that they don't work for the broker in that sense. They're not an employee of the broker. They are an entrepreneur building their own business. Yes, it's under the umbrella of the broker, but it's an independent contractor agreement, right? And at least in Florida it is, and here in my market center, if that varies anywhere, I don't know. But it's very important that they start thinking like an entrepreneur from day one. They are building their own business. They are an independent business owner. They are no longer an employee. And that's a hard mindset to break when an agent comes from a different career, especially if they've had a semi-lifelong career before.
Yeah. If they're W-2. And guys, your broker is building his own business within a business.
Yeah.
Right. Like we're all just sub businesses.
Yep.
There's really not much difference between you and your broker in that regards. Yeah, I think that's the biggest challenge I see with new agents is they're used to being a W-2. They're used to having someone over their shoulder telling them when to show up to work, what to do at work, holding them accountable. And then they wake up one morning in real estate and think, hey, if I'm my own boss, if I don't want to work, I don't have to work. And then 3 months later, they realize, oh, I've got to pay bills. And I've been riding that train for 3 months. And then they go back to a W-2.
Yeah.
And that's the value right there of productivity coaching, is that that's what helps you transition from being an employee to an entrepreneur.
Yep.
I think your first 90 days in real estate are literally the most important days. If you get that right, you can have a career for life. If you get it wrong, you're unlikely to be around at 5 years.
Yeah.
Probably way less than that.
Way less.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you know,
5 months.
we have the systems and models in place which are easily accessible. You can buy the book. What does it cost? $40 for the springbound version?
Yep, for the for this version. And I'm just gonna flip up my go ahead, finish your thought.
No, I'm just saying, I mean, there's plenty of copies of MREA around. You can buy them on Amazon for, you know, not too much money. But how many people have actually read it?
Yeah.
People dip it. They dip the book. They go in and out different sections, but you need to read it. And the one thing that you can do, which is that I've done with is to take each chapter and you can summarize it in ChatGPT. So if you want to get a summary of each chapter so you know really what you want to be digging into right now, great way of reading the book.
Yeah.
It's all in there.
And so most agents are probably going to receive the paperback version from their team leader before they start, or certainly when they onboard. That book, I believe, is $10. This one is $40, but that's like impossible. Leadership. So you've got your diagnosis, prescription. I love how this is laid out. And then you've got your tab, so you can jump right to those sections. One of the things that Peter has joked about before, although it's true, is that a lot of us don't typically read this from cover to cover. We read the whole thing by jumping back and forth.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, was it written that way? Possibly. I mean, you could move the different chapters around it because it's like a series of mini books, really. Self-contained chapters with the different models.
And I would say if I would rather someone grasp the systems and models in it than read every single word of the book.
Yeah.
Right. And that's how I feel with most books, but implement the systems and models. I mean, I'm not a cover to cover reader anyways.
Well, you've got a
think
subscription to what's it
Headway.
called? I got it for you. Headway.
Headway.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think honestly, I think most books could be a blog post, but nobody's spending $17.99 on a blog post, so they fluff it up with a bunch of stories.
What just came out of Chris Orsini's mouth? A blog post? Well, there's no reason to blog, Mr. Orsini.
Exactly, because people write books at it. Anyways, yeah, nobody's going to read the blog either or pay for it, so they make it into a book, right? And then yeah, I use Headway and I read books in 15 minutes. I listened to 3.5 books before I started work this morning. So
that's why don't tell everybody what that is. I mean,
so yeah,
one
Headway,
of the things we like to do here is talk about tech that other people may not be aware of.
Yeah, so Headway is an app that they essentially make the Cliff Notes version of a book. So they summarize each chapter and then they turn it into an audiobook. And most books are like between 15 and 20 minutes.
That's my kind of reading.
Yeah, some are like 12 minutes, right? And you can listen to it at like 2 times speed. So there's, I mean, a ton of the books that we recommend are in there. The One Things in there, the MRA isn't, but the One Things in there, books I recommend like Linchpin, Building a Story Brand, a plethora. I read like 57 books in a year with this. So I highly recommend it.
If you listen.
I prefer to listen. I actually, each brain works differently, but if I listen to audio, I grasp way more than the written word just reading it. I do. And it's counterintuitive because you'd think that by reading you would be absorbing more because of the, the voice in your head as well at the same time. But no, I found audio great.
So when I went to school at University of Florida, I actually ran into one of my buddies from Sarasota that I went to high school with. I was just sitting at Ale House one day all by myself for a football game, had a bucket of beer between my feet because I didn't know anybody there yet. I look across the bar and there's my buddy Lance Bullock. And then later on, we would study together. And he actually taught me a trick that worked amazingly. And that's reading the book out loud to yourself.
Yeah,
because not only are you visually processing those words in your brain, but auditorily, is that a word? It's a word today.
It is now.
Yeah. But you're also through your auditory learning, you're reading it out loud to yourself, and that worked like a champ. I retained so much more information that way. But yeah, so the MREA is available in audio book though, just not on what's the name of that thing? Headway.
Yeah.
Got it.
I don't know why, but I can't like put comments in here, but I put, so on AppSumo, you can actually get a lifetime license for this for $59, which usually I'll get a deal and get it for $49 a year. So
yeah, I subscribed through my iPhone to it, and it was a monthly fee, I think. Well, they charged it annually, but like it was $8 a month or something charged annually, so it wasn't cheap.
I put it in there for you. You had put it in the private chat. Did you mean to put it in comments?
It's not letting me type anything in comments.
Huh. That's weird.
Yeah.
You probably have to be out there on the page.
Probably. Maybe. I don't know. But yeah, so guys, fill yourselves with books, man. There's so much out there. And also, another trick, if you do like reading, read the first chapter, and then every chapter just read the first and last couple of pages, and then read the last chapter. Everything in between those first and last pages of every chapter is mostly fluff. So again, that's the part that makes it not a blog post. That
Chris is my kind of reader. He cuts out like 3/4 of the book.
It's efficiency, right? It's honestly, every book I read, there's one thing I take away from it. Why am I going to read 150 to 250 pages to take one thing away from it?
All right. That's funny.
So you can create your own audiobooks using ChatGPT because it's got most books in there if you query it, and then ask for a summary, like a 2,000 word summary PDF, then take that PDF and put it in an audio reader. So if your book isn't there in Headway, you can go ahead and create your own. Well, up to 2021.
Yeah.
because of the
And then
limitations.
they've got those AIs now that will read it in the voice of like certain people, right?
Do they have Liam Neeson?
They probably do.
I have a very particular set of skills.
There was that Liam Neeson doing Russian.
I don't know. You know.
Right.
Well, he's Welsh, isn't he? I don't even
I
think
don't
he's
know.
English.
I don't know what he is. I think he's
Yeah.
Irish.
Oh yeah, he is.
Irish,
Yes, he is. Yep.
But I'd have Morgan Freeman just read everything.
Andy. Okay, maybe that was, I don't know, that was like a Katharine Hepburn or something. I don't know.
I'm confused.
Well, we're having fun. Nobody wanted to ask us any questions, so we're entertaining ourselves.
So I know. So Peter talked a lot about like, hey, don't buy into these gurus, right? Don't go wasting money on leads. Now that doesn't mean to say like never get a coach, never buy leads.
No,
right? So
Yeah, and he
I'm
wasn't
curious.
saying that.
Like,
He was very clear about
I
it.
know that. I just want to make that
Yeah, that's
point
kinda-
clear. And I want to ask, what would you deem as being the point where someone has earned the right to hire a coach and or buy leads?
When you've got 201 contacts in your database on a smart plan and you're doing quarterly calls,
And
you've got to build your core business before you try and expand it.
And you've graduated out of your own Market Center's productivity coaching program.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
So I'm not saying I can name a few coaches out there who I absolutely think are genuine, great value, do a good job. There's some of them are free in inverted commas. They're just failing to reveal the extra expenses. What they're trying to do is recruit you. So they're usually with a big organization. They try and do free coaching and then bring you into some form
Chris
of downline.
may or may not have mentioned one of those earlier.
They're out there, right? So there's, you've got to look at the sincerity of what's been offered. Is it altruistic as it claims to be? It's unlikely. But in terms of buying leads, I'm not opposed to buying leads. I'll make Brett explode at this, but I know very successful teams that are making good money leveraging Zillow leads.
All right, that's it. Show's
So there it
over.
goes.
No, I'm kidding.
Right? And
Yeah, I've seen them.
You look at them, and they're making $300,000, $500,000 a year each, and they might be paying $100,000 to do it. But is it a model that's sustainable? Does it really build long-term referrals? Because if a customer's going to buy an agent off the shelf by contacting Zillow, you know what they're going to do in 5 years when they're going to move? They're going to go back to Zillow and then be resold. But my point is, there's a place for leads. There's a place for lead generation. There's a place for leveraging the expertise of people who generate leads. So there are some extremely talented lead generation companies who are genuine, who get good data, market properly, find people that are in the right, lane when it comes to on the path to buying and selling. So what I'm saying is, you don't do that on day one.
Mm-hmm.
You leave that until you've got your foundation of your business in place. And then when you've got enough money to invest and leverage somebody else's skills, then sure, you've earned the right to do it.
Right.
But what I'm saying is, we should stick to the core principles and basics of the MREA models in your first 90, well, longer, but your first 90 days, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think of it as, with what you said about Zillow, and while I may despise the company, I am fully aware that there's people that make a lot of money off of those leads. They spend a lot of money, but the ROI works, and they make a lot more than what they spend.
They're spending $15,000 to $20,000 a month minimum.
So I get that. However, it's the whole, give a man a fish, he eats for a day. Teach a man to fish, he eats for the rest of his life, right? Or whatever the last part of that is. I always blow it up. But
that's right.
The issue is, and it's happened before already, when Zillow decided to become a broker, they put in Arizona, they put their largest premier agent companies out of business because they turned the faucet off to supply those leads to their own employees. And now you've got a major team who is used to, like you said, spending maybe $50,000 a month on leads, and their whole business model is around buying those leads and feeding their agents that way. And the water just got turned off. Now, what do you do? Because you don't have enough time to feed everybody to go learn how to, even if that Rainmaker knew how to lead generate for themselves, I guarantee you not every agent on that staff did.
Yeah, no.
Right.
And Brett, this is exactly why.
there's always a danger in building your business on dependency of another business.
Absolutely.
You know, I mean, Zillow could go out of business. They don't make money.
Oh, please.
You know,
please.
but they don't. You know,
No,
they're not reporting vast profits every quarter, and they got into was it OfferPad Open Door, whichever one they called it, their version of it, and lost millions. Oh, here's Siri.
Well, Brett, this is the exact reason I wrote my class 202, where that's the whole class is how to lead generate and how to run Facebook ads pretty much and follow up systematically so that you actually get business out of it and you own your own database rather than buying from Zillow, etc.
Right.
So, quick question. I want to hear your answers. Like no follow-up questions to this, right? So, if I'm an agent and I can either afford coaching or leads, what should I get?
Coaching.
What do you say,
I feel
Peter?
that it's coaching because I feel like you should learn how to go get your own leads first.
What do you think, Peter?
Personally, I think coaching will give you an advantage to fundamentally build your business. So I would say that coaching, but I wouldn't necessarily say you have to pay for coaching out of pocket. There's ways to get coaching by referral, by a split of your commission. So that would make sense. I think lead generation is an art and a skill that takes time to develop. So I personally would go into that coaching path first.
What's your answer, Chris?
Yeah.
I do coaching, 100% coaching.
Yeah. Well, we're trying to protect the expenses of our agents when they first join too. So why, like you both have spoken to, why get into that paying right from day one when you probably don't have the budget for it anyway? So that was a great question. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So
right, we've got to wrap up because I've got a 11 o'clock call.
Our MCTT here has an appointment.
I have a meeting too.
Okay.
All right.
Well, that's it. Thanks everybody for joining us. We will see you next week. Chris, thanks for hanging out with us. Appreciate it. And
thanks for letting me join.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks,
Bye,
Chris.
everybody.